Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, listen, the ATF, the gift that keeps on giving, has been keeping me and everyone else here in the YouTubeverse really busy talking about, I don't know, force reset triggers, wide open triggers, solvent traps, pistol stabilizing braces, 80% lowers, you name it. So it's always nice to be able to circle back to my Washington viewers for some exclusive Washington content. Now, unfortunately for my Washington viewers, you know the last time we were spending a lot of time talking about what was happening in Olympia, it was nothing more than a bloodbath for us. And I'm not certain I have good news today either. Now, I don't have any concrete evidence, but I have a very sneaky suspicion that our Attorney General is up to no good. So today, we're going to spend a couple minutes because we need to talk about, yes, he is still coming for your semi-automatic rifles. Okay, so the issue I'm talking about today is our wonderful Attorney General and the fact that I believe that this legislative session there is going to be a significant push for an assault weapons ban. Now, I know some of you are freaking out right now saying, God dang it, there he is. He's calling them assault weapons again. Don't call them that. Okay, that is the terminology that will probably be used in the bill, but let's use the terminology that our statutes currently use. I believe that come this next legislative session, there will be a push for a semi-automatic rifle ban, sponsored by none other than, of course, Mr. Bob Ferguson. What makes me believe that? Well, if we go back and we take a little historical perspective, one, we have to acknowledge that our Attorney General is perhaps the most politicized Attorney General anywhere in the country. Number two, let's track some of the legislative history. As we know, in the past two legislative sessions, Senate Bill 5217, which would have been an outright ban on hundreds of types of firearms, all of which happening to be in the semi-automatic rifle platform, had that passed, that would have gone into effect this July. Now, that bill never really got that much out of committee, and I think it's because the legislature was working so feverishly to ban us from magazines, unfinished frames and receivers, and restrict other areas in which we could carry a firearm. But you see, Senate Bill 5217, well, that's not the first time that our Attorney General has tried this. Some of you may recall just 2 years prior to that, there was Senate Bill 6076. What did that purport to do? Well, that purported to do the exact same thing. As a matter of fact, 5217 and 6076 are literally cut and pasted from each other. It was just another attempt at trying to ban ARs from the Washington state. Now, if you take a look at the history of the magazine ban, that came through in Gross Senate Bill 5568. What's the history of that? Was this the first time it was tried? No. Was it the second, the third? No. This is like the fifth time that they had tried a magazine ban. And that is how this particular Attorney General has worked. He will continue to ram it down our throats. And so, I do believe that despite the fact that the New York Pistol and Rifle Association v. Bruen case makes it virtually impossible for an AR ban to stand a constitutional muster, the political movement, who for many years screamed and screamed about the rule of law, has shown an absolute unwillingness to follow the rule of law announced by the United States Supreme Court. What else makes me think that the Attorney General is up to this? Well, let's take a look at what local mainstream media covered during the course of the summer. Como News, June 10th, 2022. Gun law reform group says majority of Washington state wants assault weapon ban. June 3, 2022. Cairo 7 News. For the sixth year, AG Ferguson proposes ban on sale of military-style assault weapons in Washington. June 10th, 2022. King 5 News. Here's how many Washington voters support an assault rifle ban according to new poll. MyNorthwest.com, June 10th, 2022. Most Washington voters strongly support a ban on assault weapons. King 5, once again, July 15th, 2022. Majority of Washingtonians would support assault weapons ban, Washington poll finds. Now, why would any of these mainstream media outlets report this story unless this was legislation that was clearly being teed up to be proposed in the next legislative session? And furthermore, This has never been about saving lives. This has always been about politics. It always has been for this Attorney General. It always will be for this Attorney General. Now, what do we need to do? Well, there's a couple things we as Washington residents, as the lawful and responsible gun owners in Washington State, what we need to do. The first thing is we need to very carefully watch a case which has now been remanded back to the Fourth Circuit Court. It came from the United States Supreme Court called Bianchi v. Frosch. Now, it's a case we've talked about in a couple of videos here already, and that case is a challenge to Maryland's assault weapons ban, which would be quite similar to what Washington has already previously proposed. Now, that case was being challenged by the plaintiff in that, and it was sitting before the United States Supreme Court awaiting review when the Bruen opinion was handed down. That case was then GVR'd, which means the Supreme Court granted review. They vacated the ruling of the lower court and they remanded it back down for further findings consistent with the Bruen opinion. If the court properly follows the law, and applies the correct legal standard, there is no way that Maryland's assault weapon ban can survive. If that's the case, then Attorney General Ferguson is basically, to pardon the language here for a second, pissing in the wind. Do I think that that's going to stop him? No, I don't. I don't, because I don't think that the rule of law matters to this particular political agenda. The other thing that we need to do is we need to start paying very careful attention to our local, state, and House races. This is a wonderful opportunity. I get it's an off-year election. Not a lot of them are up for re-election, but this is an amazing opportunity for us to change the balance of power in Olympia. Many of us are concerned that our rights are going to be taken from us from the top down, and that's why we spend so much time worrying about the Biden administration and our Department of Justice and the ATF. But Washington residents need to realize that our rights, which have been eroded significantly in the last couple of years, have been eroded from the bottom up. It's come from our local legislature. That's where we need to start making a difference. So get out there and find out who the candidates are that support your Second Amendment rights. Find out who the candidates are that are going to stop this nonsense about wanting to defund our local police, why state government is trying to disarm you simultaneously, and get the right people elected so we have a true representative government. Listen, you may have more questions about this or anything else that Attorney General Ferguson is cooking up. And if you do, remember, you can always contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or of course you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, let's remember, part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.